Well, good evening. Hello and welcome, fellow shapers. Good morning, good evening. Not entirely sure. It's some time around witching hour, I think, roughly. I'm just trying to get a little bit of wood quickly while I can, because it has a little bit of rain here or there. It's getting a good suction tonight with the chimney, and it's loving that ironwood or hornbeam. It's actually kicking out a lot of heat. I'm kind of working on a reflective system at the moment more than an actual coverage. It's bouncing the heat back towards me rather than encapsulating it into this tent. I've got so much foliage. There's a massive great opening over there for a start. There's another one with the chimney, and there's an opening over this side as well. But I would rather, if it's not that cold, I'd rather have a lot more air come through than not, especially with a fire. But I'm getting the benefits of this heat here. It might not linger, but it's quite nice. I can always shut up a couple of holes here or there. That's if I can be bothered to get up anyway. But I've been here quite a while now, hours in fact, and really it's all been based around this fire. I was hoping to get on with projects and lots of other bits and pieces, but it's been a bit stubborn. I keep letting it go out accidentally. In between, it's a bit of a wet night, as you can probably hear, a bit of rain splattering down. But yeah, the fire has been a little bit of a struggle to keep going. This took a lot of my effort so far. I'd like to carry on with a bit of whittling or some plans of things that I've got coming up. A bit of shaping, as you do. And hopefully I'll have a little gap now. Although, that said, I'm going to run out of firewood at some point, so I'm going to have to do a big firewood run to get me through the night, because I don't think I'll sleep much tonight. Probably doze more than sleep. So, prepare myself. Now, I'd like to keep this going most of the night, really. Well, hello and welcome, fellow shapers of the future. It's quite a nice morning, actually. It's about 7:30 in the morning, and I got a good sleep. Well, about 5 hours, which, quite frankly, that's good going, I think. Then you're out and about. It's certainly enough to fuel the next day with. Talking of fuel, I'm waiting for the kettle to boil so that I can have my cup of tea and wake up, quite frankly. But yeah, what a beautiful morning. I wasn't expecting it. I never look really at the weather. Occasionally I do, but I didn't this time. And yeah, it's bits of sunshine, and it's not all that cold. One of my favourite things that I've found, and I never see anyone use, which I find strange, because I think it's just such a versatile thing that can be used for literally a million uses, and for that I think it deserves a place in your survival tin. And we're just talking thermoplastic. I've got lots of waste product bits, really, bits that were from other projects, but the thing is with this stuff, you can just keep reusing it over and over and over. Right, if you don't know about thermoplastic, it melts, becomes malleable at 66 degrees, and you can shape it into anything you like. Of course, the only issue is with it, you can't use it near the stove because it will melt. So you have to keep it away from hot temperatures, but that's it. That's the only real issue with it. Things you can make. This, incidentally, I've got a little pull on the end there so that I can pull it, so it's a nice snug fit. Also, I've made a little gash there so that I can cut rope, or not rope, but up to paracord into that little slot there, and just wiggle it a little, and that will cut through without me needing to take this out of the sheath. And there's no chance of me cutting myself on that, although I have here somewhere. And the handle is also thermoplastic in a lovely little pattern. I mean, I've done this nearly 2 years ago. I've done this, and it's still as good as the day I done it. It's had a lot of use, and that is just a butter knife. Shall I do that again? Because that felt good. I ain't got any sheaths for knives and things, really. I just got. So this is a bit of a, yeah. And you've got your box standard butter knife, but sharpened almost to a razor. Great for fine shavings. You have to keep sharpening it. I have got a little hand sharpener here somewhere that I use, just a strop, just to give it a little edge again every now and again. But this is a fine edge, and I don't care what you say. Sheffield steel ain't that bad. It's not carbon steel, it's not none of this really crazy good metals, but it's good enough. And how much was this? What, 40 pence? Not even. I think I got like a big pack of them for. Incidentally, get rid of the handles because they are highly flammable. They're not made out of ivory or bone or whatever they look like they're made out of. They're made out of a very nasty plastic, and yeah, it goes up. It really does go. It's highly flammable, incredibly dangerous, I think. But then butter knives aren't meant to be used directly with flame. I mean, you're not going to put that in the flame like that, are you? If you did, look out, because like I say, that plastic burns. The tang goes up to about here in this butter knife, so there's plenty of stability in there. But that's one use for thermoplastic. Again, handles. This is a file that was broke. Well, I actually broke it just to have it smaller, really. I've got two halves of it, one half to strike my sparks with and to file, and now I've got this half as well, which is just a simple handle, nothing particular. The handle on my axe is solid thermoplastic, just to give you an idea of how strong this stuff really is. Yeah, I've swung this with everything I've got repeatedly. Often missed the target, but this handle hasn't given. You can't really put it in, like, you know, when you bang it in and then use the handle as leverage, although you might be able to. I don't know, I haven't really done that so much. I find that's a bad way to end the life of your axe quite quickly, really, by doing that and then levering it. But you should be able to, I think. So, not particularly pretty, just practical. It was a crap axe to begin with. It was less than £10 from home base, and it was a piece of crap. It still is a piece of crap, but it's a log splitter, and I don't want it for anything else really. It does the job. Again, blade protection is another great one for that thermoplastic. This is thermoplastic with a bit of, don't know why, but I've put a bit of black electrical tape around there, and that just pops off like so. This came without no sheath at all. It came in the post like this, and it was crazy sharp, and I just don't know how they can do that. The postman could have spiked himself on it or anything, but that does click in there lovely. It grabs hold of a little notch that I made inside there, and then you can flick it off. Another use I've found, spikes. You can reshape it if it breaks. It's just everlasting. Well, not everlasting. It will deteriorate with time. The sun rays itself will actually dispose of this, as it's quite toxic free and certainly doesn't do too much harm to the environment as some plastics do anyway. So yeah, you can make a spike. So as you can see, I've put a spike on one of a tripod leg from an old telescope that I used to use years ago that broke. But yeah, this was just part of the tripod. So I've got 3 of these. Not that I need 3 of them, but this one can hold the phone with this thermoplastic up the top here. I did actually take the top bit off, as I don't really do that anymore at the moment. And here's another lump of thermoplastic here connected just to a GoPro mount, or, you know, it's not just GoPro, it's Action 4, it's, I think even Insta360 maybe might have an attachment. It'd be silly not to, so you can use all of your GoPro stuff. So that's another use. I find this really handy. It's so portable, and you can just pop it in the ground wherever you like, and it's a reasonable height, and it's a pretty handy bit of kit. Certainly had a lot of use over the last few years. And there we go. I try to do things on a shoestring. The budget ideally is nothing, but you know, obviously that's not really possible, but I try to get it near as possible. This thermoplastic incidentally is about £5 roughly for that amount, maybe that amount, about £5. I don't know, it changes up and down in price, but you get a good amount for £5 anyway. Enough to do these little things. Another little camera holder with a homemade GoPro mount, which does the job. Also another use, I lost the lid for this in an emergency. You know how it is, you race to get your medical kit out and things go flying around everywhere, you take your top off, you probably hurled it, I don't know. But either way, the result was that I lost the lid for my Germaline easily, made a new one out of thermoplastic, and you can see this is possibly better than the original lid. I'm putting all the pressure I can on that without splitting it down the seams or something, and it just gets a hold of that screw thread. It's easy as that. So getting hold of screw threads is a handy thing to have. You can camera mounts, have a little screw pin to mount your camera on. You can actually put a piece of thermoplastic on that screw, and that will take shape of that screw mount, and then make a mount of whatever kind you like out of plastic. You can combine wood with it, there's no issue. It grips, it sticks to wood, which is really quite good. Trying to think of examples I've used that, but can't off the top of my head. I have had 2 poles that I wanted to carry in my backpack that were just too big, or 1 pole that was, to carry on my bike. So I cut it in half. I made a thermoplastic socket, and the other half of the stick would just pop in the air like that, and it would be a pole. And the thermoplastic was not the weakest point of that pole. It's that strong. I use it for my buck saw or frame saw, which I'll quickly get. I use it for my frame saw here and here. It also needs a little bit here as well, just to stop this nasty edge. That's another thing it can do. It's just limitless. But instead of catching on that edge, I can just put a blob of that thermoplastic on there and it will seal up to it. And as long as it doesn't go above 66 degrees, that will just stay there for a long time. I mean, it literally is down to your imagination with what you can come up with this stuff. The reason I think you can have it in your survival kit is because it takes no space and just the sheer amount of uses. Some of them are survival based. I could say my strap broke on the rucksack, I could actually fix it with this. It would grab hold of the strapping and actually mould itself to the strapping without the strapping taking any damage, and strong enough to hold whatever. I mean, it is basically nylon plastic now, which is super strong, and it'll take a lot of pull, basically a lot of pull. So you can fix your strapping on your rucksacks. If you haven't got an eye peg and you want one, say it only came with 2 eyelets and you wanted one in the middle, you can actually make one. You can literally just melt this around here like that, pop a little hole in there, and that will grab hold of that canvas in much the same way as it does the strapping. It will just melt to it, bind it, and it's hard to, well, you have to heat it up again to get it off, quite simply. It's the only way to get it off. And yeah, that'll be better than some of these metal ones, because you could spread the load out so it doesn't actually tug in a bad place. What else is there? Oh, I must have made probably 200 or 300 different little things with this. Just everyday stuff even. The fact that it can take on a screw thread is fantastic, and it's strong. It can work as a bolt on screw threads. Another one. I haven't got it done with this, so I guess I could quickly try it. I've got some boiling water there, and it's not ideal, but it'll have to do. And because it's super thin, I actually made it this thin, and I added the colours to it as well, which is just mica powders. That's why they're all different colours. It's mica powder. But now, yeah, that's become totally malleable. You can make a ring round there, the bottom. As simple as that. I mean, that isn't enough to do what we want, but that'll be enough just to show you what I mean. That will cool down. At the moment, that'll just pull off, but that'll cool down and that'll be strong enough to actually hold that bottle. And you could even make it a full loop, whatever you like, a clip, anything. Hook it up onto your rucksack. If your rucksack's got a special kind of clip, you can make the special kind of clip. It's just fantastic stuff. Already, that is strong enough, just that thin bit, to hold that water. And that's still cooling down and getting harder, so it would get even stronger yet. That's how good that stuff is. How long did that take? I've often used it to cheat the system a little bit, as you can see with the frame saw. I'm not very good at cutting in angles and things. I don't know why, but I struggled to make a frame saw that worked as efficiently as my thermoplastic one did, basically. So I'll take these ancient methods or whatever, and if there's a part where I can't replicate their methods, like say I'm struggling with getting a good tar glue for attaching a flintstone to my rig, fire starting rig, where you just pump it, pump drill, I don't know, but I would like to make holes into wood, and obviously a way of doing that is to get a flint on the end of this, a nice sharp flint, not too big, so you can pump it and make holes. And yeah, I'm struggling to, I haven't got pine round here for a start, but yeah, I haven't got any glue. Well, I have got lots of glue, but I'm using it as just a quick fix, basically, so that I can stick a bit of thermoplastic on there with a flint in it, and it would never really come off, basically. It's that good, it's that strong, and that would work a treat. Although it's a cheat, I know, but then that's kind of what I do. It's if I can't replicate it, I'll find a way around it, and if I can't, and then the idea is to improve it or try to improve it, which is not always possible, as a lot of things have been very well thought out. But I like to personalise and modify things. It's just what I like to do. Personalisation, modification. When you pick something up that you've made or had a hand in, the satisfaction is so much more than something you've bought from a shop for money. Incidentally, might as well show you my spoon. This is coming on quite nicely. It's I thought I had a crack there, it's not. It's just a little bit. The resin, you can see it's all shiny. This side where I put the plaster to hold the resin in has done a fantastic job, but it leaves it dull, which I knew. But if you just wet it, it becomes like glass. So what I'll do is finer sand this, a little bit finer, then add a little bit of resin just to top it, to give it its shine, and then I think we've got the finished product. Sand it down a little bit here or there, and yeah, different. That's resin. This came loose, this lens, when I first bought it, nearly enough. It got too hot for the cheap glue that was holding in there, so I used a bit of Araldite glue, which is the best in my opinion. That certainly hasn't got no issue with the heat, and it's held that, and that lens is not, it's been perfect ever since. Also there's a bit of inner tube that I got off an old bike. I managed to salvage an inner tube off of it, and that's just keeping all that, because there is a couple of screw bits there and there, and I don't want water to get in those places. So one way of doing that is just bung a bit of inner tube on it, and yeah, that works well. A little bit of extra grip as well, but it's just keeping your eyes open for little things that you could put on your torch or something. Finding the problem is often the hard thing. Finding the solution, I find, is generally quite easy. It's just finding the problems and realising they're problems and that they can be solved. Hope that makes sense. But you will find little bits of thermoplastic on a lot of my kit. Again, might not look much, but it holds a tablet, and it's got a little clip so that you can clip it into the top of your tent and have it mounted so you can watch it in comfort while you're laying down. And also it's got the stand, which is just right. It weighs hardly anything, it's very thin, it's very bendy, flexible, but that just won't break. I mean, that would if you really tried, but that's all just basically heating bits, getting strips, and just strip at a time. Do this bit, then do that bit, then do that bit across there. You know, you can literally build it in that fashion. Again, you can put this, make a clip on your water bottle with this that we made. Just literally wrap it around there a few seconds and you've made yourself a nice little carry bottle with a well, it's not a proper one. You certainly wouldn't put your weight on that. It's cheap crap, but it's good enough. So I think we've covered that. Why I think thermoplastic has got a place in your kit. Whether it's your survival kit or not is debatable. I think it's good enough to be used in your survival kit. Pop it in your little tub, your little tin, anything. I mean, how big, how much space is that? It's nothing. And what it can do is ridiculous. So I know it's not woodcraft, and there is this battle with me in my conscience using plastics, using resins, but I try to make them as ecologically sound as possible. And it's not using a lot of it generally. This was a bit excessive. I would rather have an ash handle on there, and might still do that yet, and then recycle this, because it can just be used over and over and over. Just heat it up again, reshape it, heat it up again, reshape it, in an endless rotation.